Welcome to planforadventures.com. In this video, we will be looking at how to tie a bowline knot. And a bowline knot is basically making a loop that doesn't slide. So unlike a lot of other knots where you're making a loop that's adjustable, if you make a proper bowline knot, this will not slide, which means this loop does not adjust. And because of that, that makes this a safe knot to put around someone if you need to rescue them. And so oftentimes the bowline knot will be used if you need to drop a rope to someone who's in need, either someone who is off of a cliff or in water, and you need to be able to throw a loop out to them and not have this loop tighten up, which would make a dangerous situation. You can also use the bowline to drag someone if you need to rescue someone. So this is often used as a rescue knot. And let's go ahead and take a look at how we're going to make this bowline knot. As always, there are two different ends of your rope that I'll be referring to. So this is our standing end, and the standing end of the rope is the part of the rope that we basically hold on to. And then we have our working end of the rope, and the working end is the end that we actually are using to make our knot. So let's go ahead and get started. I always like to have a little bit of tension on the rope, so I have my knot board here. I'm going to go ahead and loop through, and having tension on the rope just makes it a little bit easier to work with. So in order to start our bowline knot here, I'm going to make what's called a overhand loop, and I'm doing that on my standing end. So to do that, the overhand loop has your working end crossing on top of your standing end. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my rope, create my overhand loop here. Again, working end is on top of the standing end here. And that's step number one. That's also a really important step to make sure that you have the overhand loop. If you don't do that, then your knot will not work out. So now that I have my overhand loop, I have my working end here, and I'm going to go through this overhand loop by going underneath first, on top second. And so just to reiterate that, right here I'm crossing underneath, right here I'm crossing on top of. I'm going to bring that so that my working end and my standing end are parallel over here on this side. What I'm going to do next is take my working end, and this is going underneath and over, and with my overhand loop here, I'm going to wrap this around, bring this into my overhand loop, and pass it underneath right here, so that now my working end is again parallel with the working end. And now all I need to do is pull my standing end, and I have my bowline knot. The important thing to keep in mind with this is this knot doesn't slide. So this is a fixed knot. So you can use this to attach your rope to an object or to a person if you need to rescue them, or if you need to attach your rope without this rope tightening up on them. Just keep in mind, anytime you attach a rope to a person, you do run the risk of harming them, so they can still get bruises or other harm to a person if you're attaching your rope to them. So be mindful of what you're doing and be careful. Just because this rope is not going to tighten up on them doesn't mean they're not going to get hurt by it. But because this does not tighten up, this is considered a safe rope to put around a person, and you can use this in a rescue situation. So that's the bowline knot.